Most people think they're using AI for research, but they're really using it like a faster search engine. Quick question, quick answer, quick skim. Done. And for surface level stuff, that's fine. But the moment you try to use AI for real deep research, the kind that normally takes hours or days, a lot of people hit the same wall. The answers feel shallow, repetitive, or way too confident. Then the conclusion shows up. A, I can't be trusted for research. That conclusion is wrong. The real issue is the workflow. AI is extremely good at deep research when you stop treating it like Google and start treating it like a research assistant. And a research assistant doesn't just hand you an answer. A research assistant helps you scope the question, build a map, test assumptions, compare sources, and turn information into decisions. So in this video, I'm giving you a practical system that actually works. You can use it for learning complex topics, evaluating tools, building business strategy, writing better content, or even doing serious due diligence. And it's built around one idea. Deep research is a conversation, not a question. Here's the first trap: asking one mega question and expecting a perfect output. Real researchers don't work like that. If you talk to an expert, they'll ask clarifying questions, define terms, narrow the scope, and identify what good looks like. When you skip that step, AI guesses, and guessed research is always generic. So the first step is scope. You don't start with explain X, you start with what exactly am I trying to understand and why? What level do I need? Beginner, practical, or expert? What's the outcome? A decision, a plan, a summary, or a comparison? Scope is your boundary. Without boundaries, I tries to cover everything, and when something tries to cover everything, it becomes shallow. A good scope prompt sounds like this. I want to understand modern YouTube growth strategies I can apply to a small channel with no team. Focus on tactics that work in the first 90 days. I want an action plan I can run. That's not fancy. It's just clear, and clarity is leverage. Now, step two, build a research map. This is the upgrade that makes I feel like a real research tool. A research map is not the answer. It's the outline of the territory. You're asking AI to break the topic into major subtopics that actually matter. Why does this work? Because research without a map turns into wandering. You bounce between random facts and never build understanding. A map gives you structure. It tells you what to explore next. It shows you what you're missing. It also prevents AI from dumping a wall of text because you're making it plan before it talks. After you get the map, step three is deep dives. You pick one section at a time and go deep. This mirrors how humans research. You focus, you dig, you take notes, and then you move to the next area. And because AI keeps the context of what you've already explored, the conversation becomes smarter over time. This is where the tool stops feeling generic. Here's a simple rule: if you want depth, you have to force depth. So when you do a deep dive, ask for examples, edge cases, and failure modes. Don't just ask, what is it? Ask, when does it fail? Ask, what does it look like when it goes wrong? Ask, what do people misunderstand? That's where the real learning happens. Now, step four, trade-offs. Most shallow research asks for best practices. Best practices are usually just marketing wrapped in confidence. Deep research is about trade-offs. Every approach has upside and downside. Every tool is good at one thing and weak at another. Every strategy has a cost. So instead of asking, what's the best? Ask, what are the main options? What are the trade-offs of each? And in what situation does each option win? That single change forces nuance. And nuance is the difference between interesting info and useful understanding. Step five is the part that makes your research more trustworthy. Challenge the output. Humans improve ideas through debate. They look for weaknesses. They search for counterexamples. You can do the same thing with AI by asking it to critique itself. After a deep dive, ask, what are the weak points in this explanation? What am I missing? What would an expert disagree with? What assumptions are baked in? What would change the conclusion? When you do this, you'll see the confidence drop and the quality rise. Because now AI is doing what good researchers do: uncertainty mapping. That leads to step six, evidence requests. You're not just asking AI to be right, you're asking it to show its work. For non-web research inside AI, you can still ask for the type of evidence you should look for. What sources would confirm this? What data would change your mind? What experiments would validate it? That turns the output into a checklist you can verify. Now let's talk about synthesis because this is where AI becomes a superpower. Research isn't about collecting more facts, it's about turning facts into understanding. After you've explored several sections of the map, you want AI to connect them, ask it to highlight patterns, contradictions, and the few ideas that explain the most. This is the gotcha moment most people miss. The value of research is not what you learned, it's what you can now decide. Synthesis turns knowledge into decisions. Here's another move that makes A, I research feel clean. Simplification without dumbing down. A summary shortens information. Simplification translates it into clearer language while keeping nuance intact. If you're researching something technical, ask, explain this like I'm practical but not an expert. Keep the nuance, avoid buzzwords, use analogies only if they genuinely help. Now, step 7, prioritization. The internet gives you infinite information. Your brain can't process infinite information. So you ask AI to prioritize what are the top 20% of concepts that drive 80% of results? Or what are the top 3 levers that matter most? Or if I only have 2 hours, what should I learn first? This turns research from overwhelming into actionable. Step 8 is comparison. Deep research gets stronger when you compare multiple approaches, tools, or viewpoints. When you compare, you gain perspective. When you gain perspective, you make better choices. So, after you've done a few deep dives, ask AI to compare the major options and recommend a direction based on your constraints. Notice what's happening here. You're not asking AI for the answer, you're using it to build a decision framework. And that's the whole workflow: scope to map, to deep dive, to trade offs, to challenge, to synthesize, to prioritize, to compare, to decide. That's deep research. Now let's make this ultra practical with a quick example you can copy. Say you're researching how to grow a YouTube channel. The shallow way is, how do I grow? The deep way is, my goal is X, my constraints are Y. Build me a map of growth strategies. Then we'll deep dive each. For each strategy, give trade offs, failure modes, and what would prove it works. When you run research like that, AI stops being a novelty. It becomes a system. One more gotcha, because this is where people waste time. They stop too early. They find one interesting idea, get excited, and lock in. Deep research benefits from holding 2 ideas at once. Compare before you commit. Ask, what else could be true? That simple habit avoids bad decisions. And yes, AI makes iteration faster, but speed only helps if your loop has quality controls. The steps we just covered are quality controls. They're what stop you from getting confident nonsense. So if you've been disappointed by AI research, don't blame the tool. Upgrade the workflow. Start with scope, demand a map, deep dive with trade offs. Challenge the output, synthesize patterns, prioritize levers, compare options. Then decide. That's how you turn AI into a research assistant you can actually trust. And once you use AI this way, it's hard to go back because deep research stops feeling like wandering the internet and starts feeling like building clarity on purpose. If you want the simplest starter prompt to run this system, make it a question first prompt. Tell AI, before you answer, ask me the minimum questions needed to do this well. Keep it to 7 questions max, then wait. That forces clarity before output, which is the secret ingredient in every good research process. That is what actually works.